What's up, guys? Today we're going to be having a look at the Creux Automatiq Diamondback CA-06. This is a Australian brand that I'm not really sure if they're technically speaking a micro brand or not, and the reason is because they have positioned themselves with the watches that they've released over the past couple of years as a brand that is competing with very established, very well known and prestigious brands like Oris, Longines, Hamilton, Tissot, because the price range of this model in particular goes from $1,550 on the rubber strap, the FKM rubber strap you can see in this video, to $1,850 on the stainless steel. So let's see if this watch packs enough of a punch to justify that price point. Now, the first thing you get is this outer box, cardboard box, nothing particularly special about it. On the inside you have this little pouch with three things. First, you have a international 2-year warranty card. You also have an instruction manual that also shows off some pictures of the different color schemes that this model has. If I'm not mistaken, they have a blue and a green dial. Personally, I think probably the nicest one is the green one. However, today we have the black dial to review. However, I'm not necessarily sure I would call it black dial because, well, you'll see why not as we go along with the review. You also have a Swiss-made certificate. Now, the watch box of this model is gorgeous, beautiful, one of the nicest watch boxes I've seen. Obviously, you can tell it's been custom made with that diamond aesthetic. It has this piano gloss finish, and it has this little golden logo, and it has just ever so slightest bit of a bevel to it. It just feels really nice, really fancy, and you get off to a good start, definitely having spent the amount of money that this watch costs. Now, once you open the box, you see a watch that for some people is a bit too busy. There's just too much going on. So let's try and break that down. First of all, you have the two-tone between the silver and the gold on the crown and the seconds indice, and also on the logo. Then you have these kind of like Hublot-esque torque screws in the bezel. I personally prefer this look to your typical screws that you see in many watches that are paying homage to brands like Audemars Piguet or IWC. So I think it does look very nice. And then you have this very angular finish to the case on the tops of the case, but then a very rounded off finish to the sides with those polished and brushed surfaces. And then on this case, as I said, I have an FKM rubber strap. Personally, I don't really like rubber straps, especially not on a watch that I consider to be more of a dress watch than a casual one. However, this is probably the nicest rubber strap that I've ever had. It feels very nice, very soft, and it feels very premium, definitely. Now, once you actually have a look at the watch, you'll notice that the dial just plays in a very unique way with the light, and that is because it's a single piece of brass and it has kind of this diamond pattern stamped out onto it. So you'd see why I wouldn't really call that black, because at no point do I think it actually looks black, especially not when there's any light on it. Now, this watch dimensions are 40mm diameter, 47 lug to lug, and 10.6 in height, which I think is a great height for this kind of a watch. It's quite slim, quite slender, very comfortable to wear. Here you can see that little circular date window with the chromed out edges, just like the indices have, and the hands as well. And then they have modified this movement, and I'll talk a bit more about the movement as we go on, to have the seconds hand in this small indice at the 6 o'clock, which I think looks really good, and it definitely makes this watch stand out. I'm very happy they didn't decide to just go for the easier option of just leaving the seconds hand as standard. Now you can see the bezel has a hand brushed finish. Very nice. I mean, definitely up to standard of the price. I've had quite a few watches from $2,000 to $1,500, and I think that this is probably right up there with the best finishing for that price range that I've personally seen. Personally, I think that this watch in terms of finishing actually beats out the Oris Aquis, which is one of my all-time favorite watches. Here you can see the difference between the polished and the brushed surfaces. You can see those brushed surfaces at the top of the integrated bracelet. You can see on the edges of the case, on the edges of the bezel, on the edges of the case back. I mean, just a gorgeous amount of detail and a gorgeous amount of levels, different cuts, different shapes into this case. Definitely a lot of thought has gone into this watch, so you really have to give it to them. I mean, in terms of being a micro brand, this is as interesting a case as I've seen from any micro brand, to be honest. Now you have this sign crown. This is one complaint I do have. I think that CA on the crown looks out of place. I would have preferred their logo or just something more subtle, maybe a CA in a different font. I think the font they've used is just too thick for that crown. Now here you can see how the case actually plays with the light, and you can see those crown guards on either side, which personally I love. And at the back you have a Swisstech CA-24041 movement, which was specially made for this watch. It has a custom gold rotor, and it is quite an interesting movement. I mean, to be honest, there's not much information about it online. Some people say it's similar to an ETA 2824. However, because there's not much information about it, I can't really give you an opinion on the durability, on the reliability of this movement. But keeping in mind the fact that this watch, as I said, does have one of the best fit and finishes that I've seen in any watch for this price range, regardless if it's from a micro brand or from an established brand. I think that if that movement turns out to be a movement that stands the test of time, this watch will in the long run end up being a real winner, because personally I love what they've done with this watch. I love the design. I know that they've borrowed a lot of bits and pieces from different brands. However, it's just such a unique look, just such a different look in terms of the overall package, and I think they've nailed it, to be honest. I mean, there's not really anything that I could fault in terms of the design. There's not really anything I would do any different. I think they've just got a very, very elegant and memorable design. So I think this is just a matter of the fact that they are in a very tough market. That's what this whole thing boils down to. I mean, in terms of watches for this price range, you have just so many options. I mean, there's so many options, and as I said, a lot of them are from very established, very reliable brands with a proven track record, and maybe with movements that, as I said, have already been tested and have withstood the test of time. So personally, I think that that's the main thing they have going against them, the fact that there are that many watches that you could get for this same amount of money. However, in terms of the actual value proposition and in terms of the design, I think this watch has a very good case to make to why it can compete with pretty much any watch that can be offered for this price at the moment. I'm very excited to see what these guys are going to do over the next few years, because as I said, I wouldn't even consider them to be a micro brand, because I really do think that they've managed to pull off a watch that does compete with very established brands. So definitely interesting to see what they're going to be able to pull out of the bag over the next few years. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. Till the next time, peace.